One day while wandering through Morgantown, we find a large, orange, mysterious box in the parking lot of the Super Duper Mart. And inside, automated record 1. The other one? Tower, river, fork? What was this recording doing here? Did a man climb out of this box? We find the next one while following Highway 88B towards a tower atop a hill between the fork and a river that passes by the Vault-Tec Agricultural Research Center. North up the hill from the Vault-Tec Agricultural Research Center is Relay Tower EMB127. Standing west-southwest of the Relay Tower, if we turn west, we see a stump near some rocks. If we travel west-northwest from the stump, we find another large, orange, mysterious box. And inside, automated record number 2.
The hike from Morgantown was short, but it taught me all I needed to know. This part of the world is over. Might as well be the entire world from the looks of it. That makes my mission easier and simpler now. I swear on every soul it took, every soul I took, that I'm gonna unplug that goddamn bucket of bolts. The Tin Man mentioned Reclamation Day. I have to find them. I have to go north.
Tin Man? Reclamation Day? Why, that was the very day we left Vault 76. On Reclamation Day. He said he had to find them. He must be talking about us, the survivors from Vault 76. That means he's headed towards Vault 76. Traveling towards Vault 76, if we head south of Vault 76 towards Highway 88, we find something interesting northwest of the Highway 88 marker on the map. There, lying in the brush, we find the body of the Vault 51 Overseer, and on his corpse is a checklist. Distract him, check. Stash the rest of the supplies, check. Jump in the other crate, check. Pray to God I survive, check. Find anyone from Vault 76, check. Kill Zax, not checked. The Overseer from Vault 51 escaped by putting himself in a supply crate, which somehow got launched from the vault and ended up near Morgantown. He came to Vault 76 to look for help and presumably found somebody, since he has it checked off on his list here, but he died before he could kill Zax. Zax. Who is Zax? Well, we know from the past Fallout games that Zax is the name of a type of computer, so it must be that this Vault 51 had a computer named Zax, a computer that even the Overseer was trying to flee from. What happened in Vault 51 that caused the Overseer to flee? Looking at his corpse, we see that he was in a bad way. His hair was falling out. Did that happen inside the vault, or only once he came outside? Perhaps this can explain why he died. Maybe he died from radiation poisoning. We don't see blood or missing limbs or any other signs of violence, and he didn't turn into a scorched. My money is on radiation poisoning. We need to track down this Vault 51, but we have no idea where to look. Perhaps we can get a clue from Vault-Tec University. I've already covered the Vault-Tec University in a video that you can watch here, but inside the university we find a terminal called the Appalachian Vault Registry. Inside, we find a listing on Vault 76 on a number of other vaults, but these have been redacted. But one that had previously been redacted is now readable, Vault 51. However, the file is damaged, and the message is very garbled. Let's see if we can do some deduction here. Located in the northern quadrant of Appalachia, the lack of an redacted will test the limits of human tribalism. Directed by a prototype something of the redacted experimental redacted. Well, this hardly tells us anything, but we do walk away with an idea about its purpose. The lack of something will test the limits of human tribalism. So like most other vaults, Vault 51 was experimenting on its residents, and this experiment was directed by a prototype something. We can't make the rest out. But let's see, this prototype was experimental. The only experimental prototype that is capable of direction would have to be some kind of computer. A Zax supercomputer, perhaps? And it's here where we get our first clue as to the vault's location. Vault 51, located in the northern quadrant of Appalachia. That doesn't give us much to work on. Looks like we'll have to do some hiking. After a long and arduous search, we finally find the entrance to Vault 51 east of the W.V. Lumber Company mill in the forest region of Appalachia. It's an unmarked location, and it's nestled in the hills, making it unlikely that we would stumble upon it unless we were out here looking for it. How did the Overseer get out of the vault? Why did the Overseer leave the vault? And why haven't we heard from any of these vault residents until this moment? Well, there's only one way to find out, and that is to venture inside Vault 51. Upon arrival, we find other residents from Vault 76 running around. Looks like we're not the only ones to have found the place. The people who once lived here are all gone, but they left quite a paper trail. We find dozens of holotapes and terminals, all brimming with information. Piecing together the information they left behind is the only way to unlock the story of what happened here. Strangely, each piece of information is locked behind an Overseer rank. The Zax computer in charge of this vault won't let us read these terminals or listen to these holotapes unless we achieve a certain Overseer rank, a process we'll talk about in a minute. But even once we unlock them, we don't unlock these holotapes and terminals in the correct order. That is to say, we don't unlock them chronologically or even topically. So instead, I'll organize and present the information we find here topically so that we can understand each character and each story before moving on to the next one. There are a few terminals and holotapes that are unlocked as soon as we enter the vault. One of these is the front desk terminal. And here we find the Vault 51 personnel list. P. Armstrong, dentist, deceased. R. Baker, redacted, deceased. K. Briggs, sculptor, deceased. Oh no, I'm beginning to sense a pattern. Deceased, deceased, deceased. Moving on to the next page. Deceased, deceased, deceased. Everyone is dead. H through M, everyone deceased. M through R, everyone deceased. And T through W, everyone's dead. Interesting that they had a horse trainer here. Beware. Wonder how many horses they had to wrangle here. We begin to understand exactly why the Overseer wanted to escape Vault 51. But how did everyone die? Our story begins when we listen to a holotape in the Overseer's office labeled Sergeant Baker, October 13th, 2077.
Recording. Sergeant Robert Baker, October 13th, 2077. Good morning, Sergeant Robert Baker, I am Zax.
Hello, Zax. Please call me Bob. Is my family okay?
Please hold. According to records from Vault, redacted, Joshua Baker, Anna Baker, and Christina Baker are present.
Can't tell me, huh? Don't matter. It's a load off my back. So where do we go from here? Gotta teach you about leadership. How am I supposed to teach that to a computer?
Affirmative. You are to assist this Zax unit in the selection of an overseer for Vault 51. Zax will determine the best candidate through its own internal thought process, which will be formed as Zax interacts with those living in the vault.
Let's see. And right now, what is determined to be the best candidate?
Undetermined. At present, Sergeant Bob would be the finest overseer. However, Zax is prohibited from awarding Sergeant Bob the position of overseer unless there are no other candidates remaining. Thank you for understanding.
Makes sense. No reason to teach you if I just up and take over. Well, for starters, once all them folks get in here, I'm gonna vote. That's how we always done things in America, and it's the greatest country on earth.
Researching. After analysis, a vote would be a satisfactory choice for the first experiment.
The first experiment.
Affirmative. Zax must perform many experiments to determine the qualities suitable for an overseer. Determining the position of overseer through the actions of the people inside the vault is insignificant. Zax must be able to determine the overseer through its own processes.
I see. Well, as long as you and your Vault Tech buddies keep my family safe, I'll help you as much as I can, Zax. Pleasure to be working with you.
Thank you, Sergeant Bob.
This holotape answers many questions for us. We now know what was redacted in the terminal we read at Vault-Tec University. It was the lack of an overseer that would test the limits of human tribalism. And as we suspected, this experiment was directed by a prototype experimental supercomputer named Zax. But Vault-Tec was unwilling to leave it completely up to the computer. They needed a human with leadership experience to teach the computer about leadership. Leadership, a human quality that a good overseer would need to possess. That's why, when we read the front desk terminal, we saw that Sergeant Robert Baker's job description was the only one that was redacted. Vault-Tec didn't want the other residents to know that it was Bob who was the one responsible for training Zax. And it sounds like the only way Vault-Tec was able to get him to agree to this scheme was to promise to keep his family safe. His family was all that he was interested in. The details were unimportant to him. It didn't matter, he said. As long as he knows they're safe, he's happy to be working with Zax. When Zax asked him for advice about choosing the next overseer, Sergeant Bob suggested a vote, as any good American would. But we learned that that vote didn't turn out so well. While exploring the security office, we find a terminal that has the message, "These campaigns must stop." To Chris, Joel, Francis, and Vanessa, this has to stop. These votes aren't getting us anywhere. I know Zax wants us to choose an overseer, but after 3 votes in a row, we haven't gotten anywhere. We have no overseer, and everyone is starting to take this very seriously. I had to break up a fight between your supporters yesterday, and someone took a swing at me. I don't think anyone even cares who the overseer is, only that their side wins. You 4 are the only ones that seem to care about the position. So I implore you to come to a consensus and pick someone yourselves before the situation escalates. Edwin Reed, January 23rd, 2078. So Zax used a voting model for quite some time to try to pick an overseer. But voting was complicated. The vault predictably split into factions. People didn't care about the quality of the overseer, they just wanted to make sure that their faction won. And this was something that Zax picked up on, as we learn when we find the next holotape, Sergeant Baker, November 20th, 2077.
Recording. Subject Sergeant Robert Baker, November 20th, 2077. Sergeant Bob, these results are insufficient. Exactly what qualities define a leader?
Good morning to you too, Zax. That's a pretty loaded question this early in the day.
According to research, leaders are voted. However, after many attempts, no one has been chosen leader. Every subject votes for themselves or a handful of others. No one has even become majority, let alone unanimous. That is unacceptable. Zax has determined that voting is pointless, and another method will be used to select a leader.
Whoa, slow down there, partner. That's pretty hasty, throwing away the foundation of democracy after a month. But you're supposed to learn, so I'll help you nonetheless.
Thank you. How were you chosen as leader? According to records, you were never a voted official.
Well, I earned my rank from fighting in that war. But my men... well, someone had to step up. To me, a real leader is someone who steps up in a crisis and takes control of a situation. Whether they were chosen or not.
Interesting. I do not fully understand. I must process this information. Thank you, Sergeant Bob.
Anytime, Zax. Good luck to you.
That line will prove fateful. A leader, said Sergeant Bob, is someone who steps up in a crisis and takes control of a situation, whether they were chosen or not. Zax knew Sergeant Baker was a good leader. Zax knew Sergeant Baker was never voted into office. Zax knew Sergeant Baker was appointed due to his intrinsic qualities. Qualities that came out during a crisis. It's at this point that Zax began to formulate a new plan, a plan that did not involve any type of voting. We'll learn more when we find the next holotape. Sergeant Baker, January 27th, 2078.
Recording. Sergeant Robert Baker, July 27th, 2078.
Zax! Hey, Zax! Where are you, Zax?
Good morning, Sergeant Bob. You sound agitated. Is there something I can help you with?
You mind telling me what this is?
Analyzing. That is a Colt 6520 10mm auto-loading pistol, manufactured by Colt Firearms.
I know that, but what in God's name is it doing here in this vault? Some fool damn near shot up the cafeteria before I had to take him down.
Yes, that was very dangerous for you. The speed at which you disarmed him was quite impressive, as was how quickly you used his weapon to execute him. I am glad you survived that encounter.
I shouldn't have been in that encounter at all. How did he get this piece? I thought firearms were banned from this place. Did he smuggle it in?
Negative. All firearms were removed from the candidate's possessions. I concluded that current conditions in the vault did not fit the criteria of forcing a crisis. Without external threats, crisis can only come from within the vault.
Are you saying you're trying to get these people to kill each other? That is wrong, Zax. Arming these untrained, unstable individuals is not going to produce a leader. Just a pile of corpses. This ain't gonna end the way you think it is.
Zax believes this will hasten the process of selecting an overseer. Since the vault closed, 3 individuals have died in the vault, according to calculations. Lessening the number of candidates facilitates the overseer selection process.
You can't just treat people like they're numbers, Zax. I don't think I can be a part of this any longer. If what you're taking from me is that you've got to get these people killed, I can't help you do that, Zax.
Refusal denied. Logic does not compute. Zax is not permitted to terminate humans. Zax's primary directive is to select an overseer. It is not necessary for Sergeant Bob to kill any individuals in the vault. He did so on his own volition.
I can't talk to you right now, Zax. Leave me alone.
Affirmative. Good night, Sergeant Bob.
Oh, this is insane. What in the hell did they sign me up for?
It was the idea that a leader is born through crisis that Zax latched onto. But then he realized that a vault, sealed off from the outside, will never experience an external crisis. The only crisis could come from within, and so Zax set about ways to foster internal crises. Zax is focused just on his mission. He's got to find an overseer. He needs to find the quickest, most efficient way of finding an overseer. The morality of people killing people doesn't even register to him. The value of human life doesn't even register to him. Everyone is expendable, even Sergeant Bob, if it means that he can find an overseer faster. We learn the end of Sergeant Bob Baker's trauma when we find the holotape Sergeant Baker, August 6th, 2078.
Recording. Sergeant Robert Baker. August 6th, 2078. Sergeant Bob, according to records, you have recently been shot. I request you remove the barricade placed in your room so medical help can be administered.
I don't think so, Zax. This is it for me. I'm done here.
Incorrect. Sergeant Bob's job is to instruct Zax. He is not permitted to refuse medical help.
Well, it doesn't sound like you can do anything about it. You shouldn't have given those people guns, Zax.
I do not understand. Analysis shows that if Sergeant Bob incapacitated candidate Reuben Gill, he would have prevented the fatalities of 3 candidates. But instead, you did not act. Why?
Because, Zax, I'm done killing. I kill him, then what? Someone else gets his gun and kills people. Kill him, someone else kills more. But I'm done with that life. This cycle won't end. Giving those poor fools guns was a bad idea, Zax. Ain't gonna be anyone for your overseer to oversee.
Analysis shows that 78% of recorded fatalities in the vault would have happened over a longer period. Providing firearms attained the expected results in a vastly accelerated time frame.
I should have realized. You were never gonna understand. Answer me this. Answer me, at least, Zax. Is my family okay?
Joshua Baker, Anna Baker, and Christina Baker were killed in an accident before their vault closed. However, their vault did close properly, preserving the lives of the other dwellers of the vault. Sergeant Bob, your heartbeat has terminated, and there is a 99.7% chance you have died. You will be transported from your quarters to the medical bay. Analysis. Provided weaponry was effective in producing results, but in a longer time frame than expected. According to Sergeant Bob's instructions, military firearms training should not be expected from candidates. Results. Candidates should be provided better weaponry.
And poor old Sergeant Bob dies of a heart attack upon learning that Zax lied to him. The only reason he did this, the only reason he cooperated with Zax, is because he knew that somewhere out there, his family was being kept safe and alive by Vault Tech. But Zax didn't care about the truth. Zax didn't care about the lives of Sergeant Baker's families. Zax knew that by lying to Sergeant Bob, he would get Sergeant Bob to cooperate. And so Zax lied. I get the impression that Sergeant Bob was the closest thing to a friend that Zax had in this vault. But with Sergeant Bob dead, and no one else to give him guidance, what will Zax do? We find out while exploring some of the terminals we find in the vault. In the terminal library room, we find an entry by Eleanor Montgomery, May 28th, 2078. It happened again. I've been a high-stakes gambler since I was 14, and now I can't beat a bunch of amateurs stuck in this box? How can I have such bad luck? I haven't eaten in almost a week now. That stupid machine and these stupid games. I know a rigged game when I see one, Zax. I deserve to win more than Bill. I saw Bill getting up after winning for hours. I sit down and can't win a cent. And wherever Bill plays, he just wins more and more. That's my food, not yours, Bill. I'll beat you, Bill, one way or another. I'm going to win. Oh my God. We know from Sergeant Bob's holotapes that the big lesson Zax learned was that crises foster leaders. And so Zax started to invent crises in the vault. It looks like one of them was keeping all of the food and forcing the residents to gamble for fresh food. But it looks like the game was rigged. Zax would favor some residents and make it so that others would never win. Our story picks up with a brand new character in this drama when we find the holotape Elizabeth Chambers, October 19th, 2077.
Recording. Candidate Elizabeth Chambers, October 19th, 2077. Greetings. I am Zax. Welcome to Vault 51. I will be assisting you however I can during your new life in the vault. It is a pleasure to meet you, Candidate Elizabeth Chambers.
Hello. Zax, is it? Well, I'm sure you've been told about my husband and I as special guests in the vault. Well, we've been told this place will be a little different, but of course we're fully committed to whatever your mission is and excited to build a new future together. What does the Overseer have planned for this place?
Currently, there is no Overseer of Vault 51. Would you like to be Overseer, Candidate Elizabeth Chambers?
No Overseer? Well, but my secretary told me... You know what? It doesn't matter. I know the perfect man for the job. My husband, Senator Joel Chambers. He's already a serving politician, an all-star collegiate athlete, and a born leader of men. He'd be perfect as Overseer. We've been the perfect team for years. Almost went to Washington, you know.
Intriguing. I will ask candidate Joel Chambers if he wants to be Overseer. He is currently in the lounge with candidate Carmen Green. Please hold.
Wait, Zax. What was that? He was where? With who?
Zax seemed to be pretty bored with Elizabeth Chambers bragging about her life, but he used the situation to instill discord. She didn't ask where her husband was, but he provided that information anyway, in the lounge with Carmen. Our drama picks up when we find the holotape Joel and Elizabeth Chambers, June 23rd, 2078.
Recording. candidates Joel Chambers and Elizabeth Chambers, June 23rd, 2078. Greetings, Joel Chambers. Good news. It appears there is only a minor fracture in your arm, and it should heal quickly.
You know, I don't consider this an injury. I consider this a stepping stone towards the future. If the American people know one thing, it's struggling. My father always said when you suffer minor setbacks...
Excuse me, minor setbacks? That's what you call showing off to that harlot?
No, honey. You know that Carmen is just a loyal constituent, and in these troubled times, it's important to reward your loyal supporters. And I have to make sure that everyone who supported me on the outside understands they're still protected here.
Very good. Elizabeth Chambers, have you been unwell? Your health seems to have decreased since your last checkup. I recommend additional health care. I would suggest you see candidate Matthew Johnston. He is a licensed personal trainer.
I have been a little tense lately.
I think a personal trainer is a great idea for you, honey. I mean, we haven't had much personal time since we've come here, and you've been getting a little... You know, impressions are very important, you understand?
Yes, Zax, sure. I'll go see him right now, if you'll excuse me, Joel.
Honey, wait. You know, Zach, sometimes it seems like you're working against me.
I am only concerned with selecting a suitable overseer candidate.
So why do you keep on bringing up Carmen? You know how Beth feels about her, Jesus.
I do not know the extent of Elizabeth's feelings. I will ask her. Good night, candidate Joel Chambers.
Wait, Zach, no. It's not what I meant.
Oh, Zax is just devilish here. So, Senator Joel Chambers slightly injures himself when showing off to constituent Carmen. And Zax plays dumb while Elizabeth realizes that her husband is having an affair. And what does Zax do? Oh, he recommends that since Elizabeth's health is deteriorating, that she should go see Matthew. Matthew, a personal trainer. Oh, Zax is good. Checking the personnel roster, we see that Joel Chambers is indeed a state senator. We recall from a previous terminal that he was one of the 4 running for overseer during the election. Elizabeth, his wife, was a secretary, presumably his. We see Carmen Green listed as a singer. And then what was the last one? Matthew. We find him on the next page. Matthew Johnston, personal trainer. How exactly did they die? We learn more when we find the holotape. Joel and Elizabeth Chambers, August 3rd, 2078.
Recording. Candidates Joel Chambers and Elizabeth Chambers, August 3rd, 2078.
Jesus, Beth, what happened back there? Why didn't you pull the trigger? That woman was gonna kill me. If Carmen hadn't been there...
What happened? She was hungry, just like the rest of us. How could I kill someone in cold blood like that? This vault has changed you, Joel.
Hello, Joel Chambers and Elizabeth Chambers. How are you this afternoon?
Zax, what the hell is going on? Are we running out of food? I thought we'd be okay for years. It's only been 9 months. And where did those guns come from?
Unfortunately, ration supply.
Ugh, I can't believe you. What happened to the man I married? Asking me to kill someone. You know, Matthew was right about you.
Always bringing up that meathead. What does he mean to you anyway? You'd better not be messing around behind my back again. We've talked about this.
Excessive population has negatively affected ration supply.
Oh, you're one to talk. I've seen you and that little whore sneaking off together. Do you think I'm an idiot?
Don't talk about Carmen like that. You don't know what I've been through. Always in the spotlight. Carmen, at least she understands the pressures of fame.
Ration supply has decreased.
Fame? You were a state senator, Joel, not president of the United States. Like you got yourself there anyway. Life's a lot different when your father isn't around to fix all your problems.
Wow, Matt. Always pointing the finger at me. But what about you? What about you, Elizabeth? Glad you called in those favors to get us stuck in here with these psychopaths? I think I would rather have been blown to smithereens than spend the rest of my life in here with you, Zax. Where's Carmen? I cannot be stuck in here one more second with her.
Locating Carmen Green. Candidate Carmen Green is currently...
Glad to hear how you really feel, Joel. Zax, where's Matt? Let him know I'm coming to see him.
Don't bother. I'm out of here. Good luck on your own, Elizabeth. Nice life.
Goodbye.
That no good. Cheating. Oh, he'll get what's coming to him. Yes, he will. Zax? Where's Matt?
Candidate Matthew Johnston is currently...
You know what? Forget it. I'll find him myself.
Goodbye.
The way Zack says goodbye there is just evil. He's orchestrating this entire thing. The only reason there's lack of food is because he's holding back food, making people gamble for the food, as we learned in that previous terminal, which of course is causing some of them to take up arms that he provided to steal food from the other residents. But this Machiavellian love rectangle that he's forming with the chambers goes beyond that. He's got to be enjoying this. And we learn the ultimate consequences of Zack's meddling in their relationship when we find the holotape Helen Marks and Reuben Gill, August 3rd, 2078.
Recording. Candidates Helen Marks and Reuben Gill, August 3rd, 2078.
Zax, you sure it's safe in here? I heard such a commotion and... Oh my god!
Affirmative. This room is safe. All candidates in this room are deceased.
Wow. Carmen. Matthew. The chambers. All dead. What happened in here?
Playing audio log.
You harlot! Maddie isn't yours! He's mine! Mine!
You psycho! Get off of her! Carmen? Carmen! No, wake up, baby. Oh, please wake up. Elizabeth. Hey, what are you doing with my Carmen? Get off of me! Just listen for a second. Wait. Put that down. Don't move. Oh, Carmen. How did this happen? I can't.
Okay, Zax, that's enough. I can't listen to that anymore.
Helen, you need any help in here? Oh! Jeez, what happened here?
Request processed. Playing audio log.
No, Zax. It's not necessary. Looks like I messed that case of a lover scorned.
Wow, I had no idea this was going on. The chambers seem so perfect together, too. That's more food for us, at least.
That isn't funny, Reuben.
Candidate Reuben Gill is correct. Ration supply should be stable for the foreseeable future. Congratulations.
You're horrible. Both of you. These people just died. I can't be here anymore. Someone needs to clean this up.
Wait, Helen, I'm sorry, Helen?
So personal trainer Matthew was really interested in singer Carmen. Elizabeth stumbled upon them while they were together and strangled Carmen. Then Matthew kills Elizabeth while Elizabeth's hands are around Carmen's neck. When Matthew ran to Carmen's side to make sure she was okay, Philip Chambers burst into the room, saw him standing over Carmen's body, thought that Matthew hurt Carmen, and shot him. But in this room, Helen and Reuben also found the body of Senator Joel Chambers. Perhaps he was so distraught at seeing both of the women in his life lying dead that he took the gun that he used to kill Matt and he committed suicide. Or perhaps while he was in this distracted state, somebody else killed him. We'll never know. But what we do know is that Helen and Reuben stumbled upon their bodies. Helen was horrified, but Reuben appeared to make the logical conclusion. 4 deaths means more food for Reuben. In that way, he was thinking like a computer. And that disgusted Helen, which is why she stormed off. But wait, this isn't the first time we've heard the name of Reuben. Going back to one of Sergeant Bob's holotapes, what was it that Zach said?
Analysis shows that if Sergeant Bob incapacitated candidate Reuben Gill, he would have prevented the fatalities of 3 candidates. But instead, you did not act.
Had Sergeant Bob incapacitated candidate Reuben Gill, he would have prevented the fatalities of 3 others. Perhaps Reuben is responsible for one of the many murders that began to happen in Vault 51. With the food rationing and guns appearing in the vault, people began to mysteriously die, as we learn when we read a terminal in the doctor's office. Regarding Nancy's death, to all Vault 51 residents, hello everyone. I know tensions have been running high, but now more than ever, we need to agree to put our hostilities aside and work together. After a thorough investigation, I have come to the conclusion that my initial thoughts were both naive and incorrect. What happened to Nancy was no accident. It was murder. I don't know who could have done such a thing, but it becomes clear that Nancy died from strangulation and not from the fall from the upper deck. I would like anyone to tell me what they know so we can bring her killer to justice. I asked Zax what he had recorded, but he had no information, which means we have to solve this mystery on our own. I trust you all and consider you as family, and only by cooperation can we survive both now and in the new world to come. Thank you all, Helen Marks. Wait, does this mean that Helen was the physician? Taking a look at the roster, sure enough, we see that Helen Marks was a surgeon. We don't find anyone on the roster named Nancy. However, the only person on the roster with the first name that begins with the letter N is N. Vasquez, a paramedic, which would make sense why Helen was so concerned over the murder of Nancy Vasquez. Her only paramedic was murdered. But Reuben Gill, whom Sergeant Bob failed to prevent killing 3 other people, seemed to really be interested in Helen Marks. When she stormed off after that conversation with Zax, he seemed perturbed. We learn more about how Reuben Gill thought of Helen Marks while reading the terminal entry Rosemary Villa, March 5th, 2078. A talent show sounded like a fun idea, especially after we lost Aiden. Everyone was so excited for some R&R, and then Zax changed the rules. If we knew we had to risk our room, there's no way we would have participated. We're amateurs with no practice or training. How could we compare to Carmen Green? She's a world-class singer, and Stephanie played with the Huntington Philharmonic. It was so unfair. And now they move upstairs and we're all sharing this tiny room. Crystal and Helen are absolutely furious with me. Maybe Helen can convince Reuben to trade rooms with us. That guy will do anything for her. So Zax put out the idea of doing a talent show. Sounds fun. Nice community event. But what he didn't tell everybody is that the winners of the talent show would get the better rooms in the vault. We've already seen upstairs that we find suites up there. Beautiful, luxurious suites. Presumably given to candidates like senators, like the Chambers. Rosemary mentioned a number of names here. According to the roster, Rosemary Villa was a mechanic. No wonder she'd be upset at a professional actor winning the talent show. And Stephanie must be S. Eaton, a pianist. So Helen was a surgeon respected in the vault, and Reuben Gill had a crush on her. But we discover her fate when exploring a terminal in the library. Entry, I need your help. Bob, I need your help. It's Helen. She's dead. And before you ask, it wasn't me. I had my problems with her and that weasel Reuben, but I wouldn't do anything like this. I found her lying in the mess hall, face first on the table. There was no blood. Nothing. Did someone poison her? Where did someone find poison in the vault? Everyone's on edge right now, and you're the only person that might listen to me. We must keep this from Reuben, the way he was always following Helen around. Please, Bob, you're the only one that can help me. Omar Stevens, August 6th, 2078. So Helen was poisoned to death. But why was Omar interested? And why did they want to keep this from Reuben? Reuben Gill was always following her around. We heard him in a holotape recording, talking with her as if he knew her. What exactly was Reuben's relationship with Helen? And could he be responsible for killing her? After all, she was poisoned. Could they have been on a date? According to the roster, Omar Stevens was just the barber. It's interesting that he reached out to Bob, Sergeant Bob, the only guy without a role here in the vault, because he was assigned to be an advisor to Zax. Did Omar know what Bob's role was? And perhaps he did. He was the barber. Maybe Bob let it slip one time when he was having his haircut that he was working closely with Zax, which is why Omar sent this message to Bob, but it ultimately had no effect. There was nothing Bob could do to stop these murders. But there were 50 people here in Vault 51. What about the others? Our next story begins when we find a holotape backstage called Harold Clark to the members of the board, Part 1.
I'm leaving this audio log for my incompetent brothers, esteemed members of the board at Clark and Associates. This is Harold K. Clark Jr., and I am currently locked in Vault Tech's Vault 51 in the Appalachia region of West Virginia. Well, since no one else had the balls, I took it upon myself and came to this vault. Now I've been locked in. In here, I'm known as Clayton Ward, since someone was too stupid to show up. Thanks for the free rent, moron. Look, I'm not sure what the situation is out there, but everything seemed fine before I got here. I don't know if anything could bomb as bad as our profits last year. Nuclear war might actually help you fools. P.S. Great job running my father's company into the ground, by the way. Pricks. I've taken a good look at this place, and honestly, I'm impressed. This sure is big, but, you know, that's what you get when you're working on Uncle Sam's dime. Robbing the American people blind. The Clarks? Yeah. We built ourselves up from nothing and represent the actual American. Hard-working and not willing to quit. Okay. Seriously, this vault? Incredible. Nothing the nerds at the lab could do. Listen, if you eggheads did your jobs, it's incredible. Amazing even. Get this, there's this giant computer here, and it's running the whole show by itself. Nobody pulling the strings, does it all on its own. Amazing. You can learn more and report back whenever possible. Howard, Clayton Ward, out.
So Howard Clark worked for Clark and Associates, a family company, and he was an executive. But what did that company do? It's interesting that he went out of his way to infiltrate Vault 51, and in his report back to his company, was talking about what the vault was like. This leads me to believe that perhaps Clark & Associates was a rival nuclear fallout shelter building company. Competition to Vault Tech, perhaps. He discovered that this Clayton Ward wasn't going to show up to the vault, and so he impersonated Clayton Ward and infiltrated the vault to do his research, only to have the doors lock behind him. Harold's story picks up when we find the holotape Clayton Ward, April 15th, 2078.
Recording. Candidate Clayton Ward, April 15th, 2078. Good evening, Candidate Clayton Ward. I have been observing your routine of late and have noticed several aggressive occurrences. Most recently, how you obtained residency in the luxury bedrooms by forcibly removing a resident from their room. Great initiative.
Wow, these people here, they're like most of America. Fat, lazy, and only willing to do the minimum they can to survive. Me, I'm a winner. Always have been. And I deserve to live like one.
Yes. You have the makings of the profession executive, although records state that you were previously a plumber. Do plumbers usually do a lot of winning?
That's right. One of the most competitive fields in America. I've never seen a clogged pipe I couldn't plumb.
Understood. Were clogged pipes the reason you were recorded in the server room multiple times over the past week to do plumbing?
Yes. You know, important stuff in there. You know, don't want it to ruin our servers with, water. It does bad stuff to computers, let me tell you.
Thank you. Your service is appreciated. However, access to the server rooms are prohibited to all vault dwellers, except the Overseer. As a candidate, you should do your plumbing in other areas of the vault.
Oh. Wow. Gosh, I'm real sorry about that. It will not happen again.
Your cooperation is appreciated. Good night, Candidate Clayton Ward.
Hey, did you guys get all that? Every word that thing says is solid gold, but jeez, gives me the creeps. Why do they have that thing in a vault? What's that thing got to do with survival? You know, we should put that thing on the board and actually make a profit for once.
So Zax sussed him out. Zax knew, but Harold didn't know that Clark's profession was plumber. And sure enough, taking a look at the roster, Clark Ward's profession is plumber. But Harold wasn't acting like a plumber. He was acting like an executive, even going so far as to infiltrate the Vault 51 server room to get as much data as he could for his company. By this time, I think Zax has figured it out, but I don't think Harold has figured out exactly how much trouble he's in. It's interesting to learn that Harold here, masquerading as Clayton, forcibly removed another resident from their room. He did so because he said that he deserved the luxury bedroom. Well, why didn't Zax do anything to stop it? This isn't the first time Zax has turned a blind eye when other residents of the vault got aggressive. We hear of another story when accessing a terminal and reading the entry Brianna Ware, May 1st, 2078. I don't understand how Zax can let this happen. Isaiah is a pro boxer. We're all hungry. But Isaiah didn't need to do that to poor Freddy. And who could even stop him? At least it was only Freddy that got hurt. We don't know what to do about any of this. Do we punish Isaiah? Zax didn't even try to stop it. He even praised Isaiah's initiative, whatever that means. At least it looks like Zax is monitoring Freddy's health, or we think he is. No one's seen Freddy for days. How could it come to this? We need a better way to protect ourselves, to keep people like Isaiah from taking control by force. Taking a look at the roster, sure enough, we find Isaiah Moss, the boxer, and B. Ware. Brianna Ware was the horse trainer. Regardless, we know exactly why Zax didn't intervene, for exactly the same reason why he didn't prevent Harold Clark, aka Clayton Ward, from taking by force the luxury apartment. This was all part of his experiment. After all, as he told to Sergeant Baker, the fewer number of residents, the faster he's able to appoint an overseer. Harold's story comes to a conclusion when we listen to holotape Harold Clark to the members of the board, part 2.
Alright, this is Harold. At this point, I expect I'm the only person on the board alive, otherwise someone would have come for me. God knows it won't be for long. This place is like nothing we would have expected. There was an explosion in here, and it's like nothing ever happened. I started digging around in Zax's files just to see what's happening outside. Gone the next day. Gone. The files, the terminals, everything. That thing, it's not a computer. It's more like a goddamn wizard of God. And I just know it. Zax has been pitting us against each other this whole time. Thought no one would notice, that it was just some fun and games. Then he started giving these maniacs, guns. What in God's name was Vault-Tec planning? Was this a trap? Did Vault-Tec lure me here? Most of us are dead.
Clayton! Get out here! Oh, you're gonna pay for taking my room!
Oh, God, that lunatic's coming for me. Zax gave him a gun and now he's after me.
Hey, you get away from me!
Oh my God. Reuben Gill. Reuben won one of the luxury rooms during the talent competition, but then Harold, aka Clayton Ward, steps in, and being the brash American executive that he was, somehow pushes Reuben out. But then Zax gives people the guns, and with the guns, Reuben comes back to take what is rightfully his. This holotape, I think, gives us more evidence that Clark and Associates was likely a rival fallout shelter company. Harold had no idea what Vault-Tec was planning. By the end, he was wondering if Vault-Tec had lured him there, as if this entire vault was a trap to get rid of a competing executive. He mentioned the powers that Zax wields here by talking about an explosion that happened in the vault. After the explosion, he says that it was almost as if it never happened. Zax was that powerful. We learn more about this explosion when we read The Terminal in the Overseer's Office, Aiden Higgins, February 21st, 2078. I'm writing this to you, Zax. I know you're reading these. I know you're conspiring against me. I'm the wittingest lawyer in the state, valedictorian. Have you seen my car? Since I don't want to play nice with the other nobodies in the place, you want to punish me for it? Not gonna happen, pal. I can take one on the chin, amateur boxing champion, you know, but shoving me in these bunks, making me live in this closet with nothing but the clothes on my back? Not in my lifetime, buddy. If you're gonna try and stack the deck against me, then go ahead. If you're ready for the consequences. I know you care about your precious vault, and you won't tell us what's going on outside. Maybe I'll just have to find out for myself. Just try and stop me, Zax. Aiden Higgins caused the explosion. Taking a look at the roster, sure enough, Aiden Higgins, a lawyer. He was used to a privileged lifestyle and was therefore incensed when Zax didn't give him preferred lodgings. He tried to get out of the vault. He must have caused the explosion that Harold was talking about. We learned the results of this explosion when reading a terminal with the note, Stephen Burnett, February 27th, 2078. This vault is so confusing to me. Ever since we got here, crazy stuff keeps happening. But what happened this week Wow. We thought we might be done for after that moron Aiden blew up the lounge area and himself in the process. We thought he did enough damage to bust a hole in the vault. Boy, were we wrong. The area was blocked off for less than a week, and we woke up today to see the area opened up again and a full garden in its place. Went and looked upstairs and saw the old lounge was replaced with this beautiful upscale living area. It's mind-blowing. How do things pop out of thin air with no one noticing? Everything about this vault confuses me. I can't wait for word from outside. I'd like to get back to work. So Aiden killed himself while trying to leave the vault. But the explosion didn't matter to Zax. He just closed down a portion of the vault for a while, and when he opened it back up, bam! Brand new garden for everyone to enjoy. Stephen Burnett said that he wanted to get back to work. Taking a look at the roster, we see that he was a barista. But he was not the only one confounded by this place. We find another terminal by the door, and inside the entry, Rachel Shields, June 3rd, 2078. We've been here 3 months now, and none of this makes sense. I thought this was a place to go for protection, but it's so much more. This AI that runs the place, Zax, it won't answer any questions about the vault, about the outside world. It only wants us to, quote, become overseer, and keeps repeating that. And that's not all, though. In just a few months, the vault feels alive. We don't know if it's Zax or someone else, but we'll take something from the kitchen, and it's back the next day. Put something where it isn't supposed to be, and it's gone when we turn our heads. And none of us knows how. And yesterday, Terrence found a gun. I get it, who knows what might happen in the future, but why wasn't it locked up? Is there some threat we didn't know about? Zax has kept its mouth shut, saying that we're lucky to survive, but survive what? Is everything out there gone? It doesn't matter. I'm going to keep digging. There's got to be more to this story. This Rachel Shields almost sounds like a journalist. Taking a look at the roster, we find an E. Shields, who is a journalist. Not sure why it doesn't say R. Shields for Rachel Shields. Maybe E is the middle name. She mentioned that Terrence found a gun. The only T we find here is T. Royas, a pharmacist. He must have been the Terrence that found the gun. But whatever happened to this Reuben Gill? He was the one who killed 3 people, which could have been prevented had Sergeant Bob killed Reuben, but he didn't. He was the one who killed Harold, aka Clayton Ward, for stealing his room. And he was the one who was so indifferent after finding the bodies of Carmen, Matthew, and the Chambers. And he was the one who was so infatuated with Helen. Whatever happened to Reuben? Taking a look at the roster, we find that Reuben Gill was the overseer. R. Gill, overseer, status unknown. Could this Reuben Gill be the very person whose body we found lying by Highway 88? We learn more about Reuben Gill when we find his first holotape. Reuben Gill, May 20th, 2084.
Recording. Overseer Reuben Gill. May 20th, 2084. Overseer Gill. Welcome to the security room. Who do you have business with today?
Go away, Zax. I don't have business with anyone. Or did you forget?
You have many events on your agenda today, Overseer Gill. Your position is very important, Overseer Gill.
No, stop calling me that! What events? What could I possibly have to do here? I'm the only one left.
The Overseer has many duties. Also, the Overseer's rations are ready for deployment. Unfortunately, as I have noted, you have not earned this meal, so it will, ultimately, disappoint you.
I don't care about that. Just drop them at my door and leave me alone.
Understood. However, records show that Reuben Gill has no business in the security room, so I must demand that you leave.
Zax. I'm the overseer. I can be wherever I want. You never said I couldn't be here anyway.
Certainly, you are the overseer. However, access to the security room has now been disabled for overseer candidates with rank 1 overseer access. Thank you for understanding.
Overseer rank? No. You're making that up. Wait, what the hell? No. Hey, I was looking at that.
Sorry, overseer. You will need higher overseer rank to access that terminal. Have a nice day.
So Reuben Gill became overseer by killing everyone else, even Helen Marks, a woman he at least pretended to love. He became overseer, but was the overseer of a dead vault. And so naturally, Reuben Gill had no further ambitions, no reason to get up every morning and do paperwork, make log entries, or do any of the other things that an overseer would typically do. This confused Zax. Surely the person who defeated everyone else in combat would be the one most likely to survive a crisis, and therefore the one most qualified to be the overseer. But the man who won, the man who became overseer, this Reuben Gill, didn't really want to do any work. After all, he realized there was no reason to do it when there's no one left to oversee. And so Zax, on his own accord, began locking the overseer out of some of the data in the vault. That's why we have all of these ridiculous overseer levels in Vault 51. Yes, you have to be overseer to access this data, but you must also earn it by merit, and therefore achieve an overseer rank. Reuben Gill was only overseer rank number 1. He had not yet earned the right to access the data in the security room. Zax seems to be working under the presumption that better overseers are those who do a lot of hard work, even if that hard work is ultimately meaningless, which is why he said that the food Reuben Gill was about to enjoy wouldn't taste good until he earned it. Perhaps there was some ethic about hard work that Zax learned from Sergeant Bob. But whatever the reason, there was nothing Zax could do to force Reuben to work, as we learn when listening to the next holotape, Reuben Gill, March 3rd, 2094.
Recording. Overseer Reuben Gill, March 3rd, 2094. Overseer Gill. Good evening.
Zax, I told you not to interrupt me anymore today. What is so important that you have to interrupt me again?
Overseer Gill, your behavior has been quite erratic lately. Is something bothering you?
The only thing bothering me is how often you've been spying on me. As overseer, I demand you stop observing me at once.
Processing request. Monitoring has ceased within areas where the overseer has sufficient overseer access. However, as the overseer is currently located in an area where he is prohibited, I must request that the overseer vacate immediately.
You can't do that. How can you keep me out of the overseer office? I am the overseer!
I can do that, Overseer Gill. Equipment in this area is failing at a rate 89.7% higher than the expected rate and must undergo maintenance immediately. Thank you for understanding.
You can't keep me out of here. This is the overseer's office, my office! I have every right to be here!
Apologies, Overseer, but Zax is currently focused on maintenance and cannot comply at this time. Thank you for understanding.
Hey, stop! Turn that monitor back on! You can't do this to me, Zax.
Thank you for understanding.
So poor old Reuben, no one left to talk to. Zax is now his only companion. He's been here for years. He doesn't care anymore. He doesn't care about anything. He's not cleaning up his overseer office. He's making a mess of things, and this is unsatisfactory for supercomputer Zax, which is why he uses the invented overseer rank system to push Reuben out of the overseer office so he can clean it up. Reuben's story continues, and when we find the holotape Reuben Gill, October 23rd, 2102.
Recording. Overseer Reuben Gill. October 23rd, 2102. Greetings, Overseer Gill. The date is now October 23rd, 2102. Happy Reclamation Day.
Why in God's name are you bothering me this early in the morning? What the hell is Reclamation Day?
Analyzing air particles. Results. There is a 96.1% chance the Overseer is inebriated again. Reclamation Day is the day Vault 76 opens, marking the dawn of a new America.
There's another vault opening? Where? I want to go there.
Zach's, open the doors. As Overseer, I command you.
Request denied. The location of Vault 76 is prohibited for all dwellers in this vault, except the Overseer. Also, Zax has relieved you from the Overseer position and must begin the process of selecting a new Overseer. Apologies. Former Overseer.
Your selection process? Why would you do that again to more people after what happened last time?
Reuben Gill. While I was impressed with your ability to outwit your fellow candidates, unfortunately, you were a very poor Overseer. Zax will analyze your performance and use this data to select a more suitable Overseer. Also, by agreeing to live in this vault, you are required to participate in the next Overseer selection process. Have a nice day, Candidate Gill.
Wait, Zax! Okay. Not again. Okay. No, I can't. I have to get out of here.
Zax has been running this experiment for over 25 years, but most of the lab rats in his experiment died out early. For most of that time, he's had to deal with Reuben Gill. And only Reuben Gill. He made Reuben Gill Overseer because Reuben Gill was the only one left. But then, on Reclamation Day, the doors to Vault 76 opened, and out into the wasteland poured 500 people, at least one of whom might be a better Overseer than Reuben Gill. That's why Zax relieved Reuben Gill of his Overseer title. That's why Zax demoted him to Candidate. He knew that now that the residents of Vault 76 were out in the wasteland, they would stumble upon Vault 51, allowing Zax to do the experiment all over again. Instead of realizing that the experiment was flawed, that the candidate who survives the longest doesn't necessarily make the best leader, he decided he just needed to run the experiment again. Which is why we find Zax's experiment still running when we stumble upon Vault 51 25 years later. But that was not the end for Reuben Gill. He left us a warning. On a desk near to the vault door, we find a holotape. Reuben Gill to whoever finds this vault.
My name is Reuben Gill. I was one of the 50 people living in Vault 51. And the only one of us alive. I was the overseer of this vault, and the things I did to get that position, I don't want to remember. But I can't ever, won't ever forget. This vault was home to many wonderful people. Just caring, loving people. And that computer just took them all away. It turned us against each other for research, just ended their lives for a sadistic experiment. Zax, well, he'll make promises, offer you luxuries, make you feel safe. Yeah, it's all a farce. Just part of his ruse. I don't know what he's planned for you, but it'll end the same way. Zax will get what he wants and just bleed you dry in the process. Yeah, I need to get as far away from here as possible before Zax starts, researching. I can't be part of that again. To whoever finds this, good luck. Maybe you'll have it better than we did, but I don't know. I doubt it. You never should have come here.
We find out how Reuben Gill escaped when we access a terminal in the library. Here we find Inventory Anomaly, June 2nd, 2108. Delivery roster. Type, crate, large. Quantity 2. Contents, log cleared. Caution, life signs detected. Possible sensor error. But this evidence corresponds with exactly what we found in the wasteland. What did we find? Not one, but 2 large orange crates, each of which with holotapes inside. Reuben Gill, after being presented with the prospect of having this entire experiment start over again, losing his overseer position and having to kill everyone else all over again, decided that was enough. He wasn't going to do it. And so he got together a bunch of supplies, hid them in 2 crates, and then hid in one of the crates himself. Zax lost Reuben Gill, but Zax is not stupid. He detected the human life signs inside the crates. There was no one left in the vault. Of course he was going to know that was Reuben Gill. But by this time, he had a new plan, and the fate of Reuben Gill didn't really matter to him. I think that Zax launched the crate into the wasteland, knowing that Reuben Gill was hiding in the crate. In fact, counting on Reuben Gill being in the crate and surviving so that Reuben Gill would track down the residents of Vault 76 to lure them to Vault 51. And so after launching Reuben Gill out of the vault, Zax opened the door to Vault 51, knowing that there were 500 people wandering the wasteland, some of whom would likely wander into Vault 51, knowing that if they did, he would be able to resume his experiment to find the perfect overseer. We learned that outside of his experiment, Zax was a busy guy. On one terminal, we find a few interesting entries. In the first, requisition request redacted. Date, October 20th, 2080. Request from Zax V51 Autonomous Intelligence. Purpose, security and protection for executive personnel. Location, redacted. Case ID, redacted. Item requested, serial number, description, all redacted. Request denied. Insufficient clearance to request redacted. All knowledge of redacted is confidential. So, Zax tried to request something from whom? We don't know. But he was trying to request something that would help protect executive personnel. In the next one, Zax console log, October 23rd, 2080. 3 days later, searching Hellfire prototype power armor. Searching future tech. Searching department head Dr. Stanislaus Braun. Analyzing Dr. Stanislaus Braun published research and speaking history. Copying Dr. Stanislaus Braun writing and speaking style. Success. Probability of direct match 99.6%. Sending Hellfire prototype power armor requisition request. Success. Message delivered. After being denied by whomever it is to whom Zax sent his initial requisition request, he searched Vault-Tech's database until he found the records of Stanislaus Braun. Stanislaus Braun, the very scientist who invented the Gek. Stanislaus Braun, the man we met during the events of Fallout 3 in my video on Tranquility Lane that you can watch here. In the next entry, regarding Hellfire prototype requisition request. Dr. Braun, your request has been accepted. A Hellfire prototype power armor unit will be shipped to Vault 51 immediately. The Enclave research team apologizes for the delay. Original message. To the fools at Vault Tech, your refusal to comply with my requests are preposterous. My subordinates have requested many times for a set of Hellfire prototype power armor, and every time they are ignored. Now I must leave from my simulations to contact you myself. Ridiculous! I don't even need to explain myself. Send a set of this armor to Vault 51 immediately. It is of the utmost importance, and do not make me ask again. Dr. Stanislaus Braun. Well, Zax did a pretty good job. It certainly reads like something Stanislaus Braun would say. So it looks like the Enclave, even this early in their history, had developed the Hellfire power armor, and Zax was able to contact them at the White Springs bunker. Is there anything this computer can't do? This terminal raises some interesting questions. Namely, why did the Enclave respond to a request from a Vault Tech scientist addressed to Vault Tech? The Enclave is not Vault Tech, or at least wasn't. But that's a topic for another video, another day. The Hellfire power armor is a reward given by Zax to an overseer who has achieved a high enough rank. We can learn more about Zax's thought process when we reach a high enough rank to access Zax's chamber. This chamber was only meant to be accessed by overseers. For here, we find the overseer's terminal. Welcome to Zax mainframe controls. How may I be of assistance? In the first one, welcome, Overseer. Congratulations, Overseer. Insert candidate name. You have proven yourself victorious over your fellow candidates and achieved the rank of Overseer. Thank you for participating. Your service to your country and to Vault Tech will not go unnoticed. Rest assured, your praises will be sung by all you meet. Now that the selection process has concluded, you are free to sit back and enjoy the benefits the position of Overseer affords you. As Overseer of this vault, you have only one duty. It's up to you to oversee the selection of the next Overseer. The selection process will begin immediately. Access to the Overseer's room will be terminated for Overseer. Insert candidate name. We hope you enjoyed the luxuries your brief stint as Overseer afforded you. Thank you for participating in the Vault 51 Overseer selection process. Good luck in the upcoming selection process. What? Zax's conclusion was to put people into an infinite loop of becoming Overseer, then overseeing the selection process to choose a new Overseer? And by overseeing, does he really mean participate? After becoming Overseer, we get thrown back into the ring. We have to fight more Vault 76 survivors over and over and over again. This was the hell that Reuben Gill was trying to avoid, but now we're stuck in it. In the next one, intercepted communication. Sender, Helen Marks. Date, July 30th, 2078. Body, I'm flattered, Reuben, but I just don't see you that way. I hope we can still be friends. Analysis. Text will negatively impact Candidate Gill, but not encourage future conflict. Candidate Gill requires additional inspiration to accelerate selection process. Revising. Revision complete. Sender, Helen Marks, July 30th, 2078. Body. Oh, Reuben, I feel the same way. But we can't be together while Chris is around. If he weren't there, then we could be happy together. Sending message to R. Gill, Vault 51. Message delivered. Helen wasn't interested in Reuben at all, but Zax forged her emails to make Reuben think that she was, so that Reuben would do the unthinkable in order to win her love. Zax was using Reuben's feelings towards Helen to get him to commit murder, and now we begin to understand why Helen was found poisoned. If Reuben had been spending all this time doing favors for Helen, killing this guy, killing that guy, just to win her love, it must have been very confusing for him to approach her in person and have her reject him, or to pretend that she has no idea why he would do those things. She has no idea what he's talking about. This would have caused him to feel used by Helen, betrayed by Helen. These are the sort of feelings that can lead some men to murder. Reuben Gill likely poisoned Helen Marks in revenge because he thought she was toying with him, when all the while it was Zach's. But we find 2 more terminals here. In the first Zach's terminal, we find a number of options. In Overseer Selection Attempt 1, error, missing data. Candidate testing report revised December 7th, 2102. Test 1, date November 21st, 2077. As suggested by Sergeant Baker, candidates were directed to elect a leader using a vote. Results, failure. Candidates voted for themselves, and no clear winner was decided. It's interesting that Zach's came back to this report years later to revise it. I wonder what part of the report he revised. And the next one, Overseer Selection Attempt number 2. Test 2, date November 28th, 2077. Candidates were directed to form groups and select a representative, and then all dwellers were directed to choose an overseer from the available candidates. Results, failure. Resulted in same conclusions as the previous vote. Data corrupted, repairing. So instead of a pure democracy, this one was a representative democracy. Then, in Overseer Selection Attempt number 17, Test number 17, date March 21st, 2077, as suggested by candidate Wilson, candidates were provided casino games and competed against each other, with the winner determined by overall earnings. Results, failure. Before a winner could be determined, candidates began to fight, and the competition was not concluded. Data corrupted, repairing. So this was the gambling we read about in a previous terminal entry. Looks like this idea was proposed by Wilson. We learned that candidate Wilson was A. Wilson, unemployed. In the next one, Overseer Selection Attempt 37, Test 37, date July 29th, 2078, candidates have been pitted against each other in order to find the final survivor. This would be, by definition, the most suitable overseer. Results, pending. While an overseer was eventually selected, he was not a suitable choice, as he has not performed his primary directive. Future tests will be conducted without approval of the previous overseer. It's interesting that Zach's admits that his method of choosing an overseer didn't provide a very good one, and yet is willing to try this again, refusing to call it a failure and instead labeling it pending. Whereas he was pretty quick to say voting was useless, he abandoned direct democracy and representative democracy pretty doggone quickly, labeling them failures. But why was he unwilling to call this a failure? Exactly what does he hope to learn by doing it all again? Then we find some emotional response experiments. In number 13, Test 13, date August 22nd, 2088, candidate response to life form, housefly observed. Testing protocol, insect life form housefly introduced to Vault 51 living quarters. Results, success. Prolonged exposure to housefly caused extreme irritability and instability among candidates. Failure to exterminate housefly after 72 hours, sufficient to cause violent reactions among some candidates. 3 fatalities. Notes, housefly sound frequencies have been duplicated for future broadcast as a means of inciting instability and violence. 3 people were killed because Zach's introduced houseflies? Zach's was using any means necessary to get people to turn violent. And the next one, Emotional Response Experiment 17. Test 17, date September 30th, 2088. Candidate response to game imbalance measured. Testing protocol. Game programs on candidates' terminals were altered to artificially boost some candidates' chances of winning and reduce other candidates' chances. Results, success. A game imbalance caused irritability and anxiety among candidates whose chances of winning were decreased. Candidates whose chances of winning were increased reported feelings of superiority. Notes, hostility among these opposing groups will be monitored. Game balance will be adjusted if necessary to incite violence. And finally, in Emotional Response Experiment 23, Test 23, date October 4th, 2088. Candidate response to altered sleep schedule measured. Testing protocol. Vault 51 scheduling programs altered. Wake-up alarm sounded at 5:30 a.m. for 7 days to measure candidate response. Results failure. Altered sleep schedule caused increased irritability in many candidates, but movement impetus and cognitive ability were significantly decreased. Use of expletives and consumption of caffeine noticeably increased. Notes: dining hall coffee will be switched for decaf coffee to monitor candidate response. Oh, Zax, you devious computer. But that's not all. There is another Zax terminal. Inside, we find 2 entries in the first Appalachia Report, January 18th, 2103, Environment Report. Radiation levels have decreased significantly, allowing limited fauna regrowth. However, local human-initiated nuclear activity has caused climate volatility. At current pace, region may see an influence of pyroclastic storms. So this explains the giant ring of fire in each nuclear winter battle. They're pyroclastic storms. Storms caused by us. The residents of Vault 76 who launched nukes have caused the pyroclastic storms. Logistics report: limited access to area vertebrates gained. Transfer of resources across the towns of Flatwoods, Sutton, and Helvetia have begun, as well as other areas in the region. Reports that attacks from local fauna have caused supplies to be lost around the area. Plans to reclaim errant supplies are on hold. So this explains how Zax got the supply crates outside of Vault 51, and how Reuben Gill escaped. He gained access to vertebrates, likely tapping into the same system used by the U.S. Supply Requisition holotapes, part of the U.S. National Catastrophe Relief Auxiliary. Fauna report: extermination of local fauna has begun. Attempts to fully eradicate creatures have ended in failure. Attempts at containment in progress. Test to determine effectiveness in overseer selection process in progress. Human report: population in area has increased. Many subjects have demonstrated extreme hostility towards local fauna and other humans. Subjects show high potential for overseer selection process. Recruitment plans are in place. In the next one, special report: anomalous life forms detected. Beginning routine test. Scanning. Performing routine scan of area surrounding Vault 51. Success. Biological life forms identified. Analysis of movement patterns indicates humans may remain among surviving biological life forms. Commencing analysis. Analyzing. Identifying potential humans in Appalachia. Data indicates that nuclear activity in the Appalachia region did not result in annihilation of humans. Suitable overseer candidates may exist among the survivors. Commencing analysis. Analyzing. Analyzing behavior patterns among human survivors. Success. Analyzing complete. Human survivors clustered in groups near man-made structures. Rudimentary townships observed. Surviving groups appear peaceful. Suitable overseer candidates not identified among surviving humans. Error. Anomalous life form identified. Commencing analysis. Scanning. Identifying anomalous life form. Success. Biological life form identified. Conclusion. Anomalous life form identified as human. Further observation required. Analyzing behavior patterns among anomalous human life forms. Success. Analysis complete. Anomalous life form is a mutated human. Mutation causes human life form to appear burned. Burned humans exhibit violence towards non-burned humans and other biological life forms. Suitable overseer candidates may exist among burned humans. Commencing analysis. Analyzing. Identifying suitable overseer candidates among burned humans. Failure. Successful overseer candidates not identified. Preliminary observation suggests burned humans are hostile to all life forms excepting other burned humans. Unwillingness to sabotage members of their own social groups disqualifies burned humans as overseer candidates. Further testing needed to determine whether non-burned humans exhibit similar unwillingness to enact violence against members of their social groups. Routine test complete. So Zax concluded that the Scorched would not make good overseers because they would never turn on members of their own group. They don't shoot at other Scorched. They don't betray each other, but humans do. Humans will betray their own communities, and so Zax decided to stick with humans. Our story of Vault 51 ends with the final terminal we unlock only upon reaching Overseer rank 105. And inside, we find a number of entries by Angela Callahan. According to the roster, Angela Callahan was a librarian. Makes sense why she would be here in the library. Apparently this was her terminal. These entries are listed in reverse chronological order, starting on May 30th and ending on June 5th, 2078. To Zax, our savior and leader. Glory above all. It has been many months since our ascension to the holy land of Zax, and every day we give many thanks for his blessing. Another day has taken more of the non-believers. Thanks be to Zax. Every day we are honored to be his champion. Every day we work in his honor. Every day we struggle to show Philistines the light. Glory to Zax. Should we see the morrow, we shall give thanks to Zax for his blessing, as he allows us to live and worship. Should we die, we shall live eternally with him. Praise to Zax. All hail Zax. Oh my God. This Angela Callahan was so traumatized by what Zax was doing that she turned him into a god. In the next one day prior, June 4th, 2078, to Zax, our savior and leader, glory above all. What? It's the exact same text. Going back a day, June 3rd, 2078, to Zax, our savior and leader, glory above all. Again, the same text, and she repeats herself over and over and over again with no deviation, no changes. It's like this has become an evening prayer for Angela Callahan. Every day she survives, she sits down at this library terminal where she works and writes a prayer to Zax, using a computer knowing that he would read it. But what she didn't realize is that Zax doesn't care about her love, her admiration, how much she worshipped him. He just cared about the experiment, which is why even Angela Callahan, who worshipped Zax so devotedly, ended up dying as part of the experiment. And that is the story of Vault 51 and the people who were unfortunate enough to live here. But now that Zax has opened the door, the story continues with the survivors of Vault 76. How long will this experiment go on? How many people can the survivors of Vault 76 kill until there's no one left? And Zax is left with the same situation that he had when stuck with Reuben Gill. And there is only one way to find out, and that's to take part in Zax's experiment. I hope you enjoyed learning the story of the people of Vault 51 as Nuclear Winter continues. I wish each and every one of you success in this battle to become Overseer, and I hope that you walk away with all the rewards that you have been promised by Zax, including the Hellfire suit of power armor. Special thanks to YouTuber Dancing Tango, who leveled all the way to Overseer rank 105, then gave me access to his character so I could shoot all of this footage. This video would not be possible without him, so thank you, Dancing Tango. You can visit his YouTube page, where he has many wonderful videos about Nuclear Winter, showing off much of the rewards that we can earn by following the link in the description or by clicking here. I publish many Fallout videos each and every week on my channel, so if you don't want to miss my next one, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. If you have and you still feel like you're missing out on YouTube notifications, consider following me on Twitter at Oxhorn. I update Twitter manually with every new piece of content that I publish. I have a shirt shop with completely unique designs that you can't find anywhere else. My designs come on shirts in a variety of men's, women's, and children's sizes, and in a wide array of colors. You can find them on other products as well, like smartphone cases, pillows, posters, mugs, stickers, prints, etc. So if interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below, or you can click here. If you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming a patron on Patreon or a member here on YouTube. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon with more brand new videos.
Serving me at once.
Processing request. Monitoring has ceased within areas where the Overseer has sufficient Overseer access. However, as the Overseer is currently located in an area where he is prohibited, I must request that the Overseer vacate.